What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Turn on the Jets Live. I'm your host, Steven Zantz, joined by my co-host, Steven Russo. We're not going to sit here and bore you with another recap of a loss. We'll talk about some of the bigger picture things with the team. Russo, how you doing? It's been a rough couple of days.
It has been, and I'm glad I got my little vent session out earlier this week. Feeling better as the time goes on. I don't know, man. I think it's, everyone's been posting like the natural cycles of being a Jets fan. You're down in the dumps, and then as the week rolls on, you somehow just convince yourself they're going to pull out a W on Sunday. But, am I don't know. We'll get into some of the stuff. I'm doing okay. There's a rough couple days to start the week, but I'm getting better as the week goes on. How about you, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think I'm hanging in there with this team, but like it just feels like a mirror image of last year, and that's why I'm getting so frustrated because we literally were like we thought we solved this problem of not having a quarterback, and of course we're back to square one, and there's no break glass for Mike White to come in. The staff doesn't seem to be interested in doing anything like that, but it's just. I think to me, the most frustrating part right now is that it just seems like they're the same thing over and over again. Like the way these games are being played, that, Garrett's going to get his touches. Brees is going to get his touches. Dalvin Cook will be good for, coming in and killing the vibes. Although I will say he had two nice runs against the Raiders on Sunday night. So I got to give him some credit. We've been accustomed to the Michael Carter drop or miss block, but now he's not here anymore. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But it's that perfect defense, good special teams. Greg the Leg always crushing it, and obviously Morstead, who's been a god, back there compared to what we saw from Braden Mann. But it's just for me, and it's bigger picture. It's just like, how could they just continue to talk themselves into these game plans when you know that what Zach's not capable of? Like you already know all this stuff, so why not make changes? Saleh said, I guess on Monday after the game, that changes are going to be made to personnel. Michael Carter was the first thing that's been done. And that he said that Izzy Abanikano, who we've been all clamoring for like a month and a half, 2 months already to get on the field, is finally going to get an opportunity to make his NFL debut. I'd imagine Ruckert's going to be playing more based on what he said, but who knows if he's benching CJ Uzomah. I think it's more of a politics game with the salary and everything. But I'm really interested to see how things go. And if honestly they make a change with Zach Wilson, if he continues to struggle. So that was a little long-winded, but I'm curious your thoughts on some of the things I just said.
Yeah, I think you made a good point about it being a mirror image of last year. I think honestly, to me, it's almost worse simply because I think the defense is that much better. Like the defense was top 5 last year and they were very good. This year, PFF has them graded as the number 1 defense in the league. And I think that's obvious. I think last year, the thought process of teams playing the Jets was very similar. It's like, listen, we can't beat Sauce and Reed on the outside. We're going to eat up the middle and just slow play this because we know the Jets offense can't score. This year, that game plan is a little different because you play, teams like the Raiders where it almost just felt like they're not even willing to pass the ball just because they know that that's where the Jets defensive line will eat. They know they can't pass the ball over the middle or on the outside because of how good they are. And so they're almost like, you know what, if we just continue to run the ball, we'll at least stumble into a touchdown at some point, and that one touchdown will be enough to beat the Jets. From a Jets offensive perspective, you're absolutely right. With Mike White, at least there was a glimmer of hope last year. And even in the Lions game, at least Zach showed flashes where he put the ball in the end zone. This is just this level of ineptitude and inability to get the ball into the end zone at any point, but especially once they hit the red zone, is just crazy. And the other thing that I'll say is a lot of Jets fans, myself, you included, we make jokes like it seems that their game plan is to just get the ball to Garrett and Brees and hope they do something miraculous. But the more you watch them, the more it really feels like that's truly the game plan, is just to get them as many touches and hope that they can do something that breaks the game open or breaks the drive open. But it's crazy. And the level in which they are shooting themselves in the foot is a level that I've never seen before. The self-inflicted wounds, the penalties, the ways that they come is just crazy to me. And I thought Connor brought up a really good point on the Badlands. I can't remember if it was part 1 or part 2, but he's like that CJ Uzomah hold on Max Crosby on the Brees touchdown. If you don't hold and Max Crosby makes the tackle, what's the worst that happens? You're stopped and you got 2nd and goal from the 3. You're in the exact same spot you are right now. But you hold, which you don't need to because really Brees was getting in anyways. And now you're backed up. Now you got second and goal from the 13 or first and goal from the 13. And then that's when you turn it into Hackett, and Hackett goes run, pass, and there's no way the Jets are getting in. So it's like little things like that. And I just think that the team is pressing, and that's obviously just counterproductive because they're making more mistakes than they typically would. But again, we can lead into because the chop block, and it was questionable if it was a chop block because you probably don't think that Mekhi Becton was engaged with that blocker anyway. But either way, clearly the chop block kind of sealed Michael Carter's fate. I am a little surprised that he was cut, but at least it's a move, right? And it gets Izzy, someone that you said that we've been clamoring for to get in. What are your thoughts on MC being cut and not just deactivated?
Well, I think he was cut because he probably requested his release. I think that they probably told him, hey, you're not going to be active on game days. We're going to give Izzy a chance. You could either, sit out the rest of the season unless there's an injury, or we can grant your release and, you can get claimed, or you can choose any team you want to play for. As far as Michael Carter, it's a sad thing to see because he's a guy that, Jet fans really liked in year one. I think he showed a lot of promise. I know that team was not super talented, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. So it was like anybody who's going to be productive is going to make us happy. But, he really kind of lost us last year in the back half of the year when Breece Hall went down. I think that fumble in the Buffalo game really was like the turning point of him just not being the guy that we want out there anymore. And I know he's battled through injuries a couple of times, but yeah, overall it sucks because I liked him. I think he was a great locker room guy from everything you hear. I know Connor Hughes was saying that it was weird that the Jets cut him because everyone beloved him in the locker room. I saw plenty of players on social media supporting him. I saw the comments from his first, meeting in Arizona, basically saying there's some internal stuff that went on. I don't really think that that's probably the case. I think it's more he fell out of favor and he wasn't making the most of his chances. I know he wasn't getting a lot of playing time, but if you want to make the most of your chances, you have to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. You have to pick up your blocks and you got to have productive carries. And he wasn't doing those things. So I don't want to pile on him because I saw some things from him that I liked, but overall, it's hard to disagree with the decision. But I think if they knew that they were going to do this, because it clearly wasn't just something out of left field, it's kind of in the writing. The writing's been on the wall for a while. Why didn't you at least try to, get a day 3 pick for him? A team probably would have traded for him that's had injuries to running backs. Maybe the Browns would have, or I guess Arizona for lack of, now that we know they wanted them. And I saw Tampa Bay was interested in him. So it's if you knew that this was a possibility, why did you just not trade him? It was 2 weeks ago. They could have traded him and got something for him. But, I'm not losing sleep over a 4th round pick that ended up getting cut. But it's just sad because it was a guy that I did like as a rookie, but he's really just soured on the team. And I'm not really the team, but the fan base and just as a whole. So it sucks. It's the nature of the business, but I hope he does well. It's not a guy that I'm going to, be like, screw that guy. He seems like a genuinely good dude. So I do feel bad from that regard, but good luck.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think, listen, I think you bring up a good point about if you knew, then why not trade him? I think that's just kind of indicative of how this coaching staff really, and honestly, the personnel department works, where I just feel like they're a little too late. Where it's if you have this feeling, I just feel like they wait too long to make these changes. So I guess in the grand scheme, right? Am I happy that Michael Carter got cut? No. Do I think a change needs to be made to get Izzy active on Sundays? Yes. So if Michael Carter has to be kind of the sacrificial lamb and get the opportunity that he rightfully deserves elsewhere, then so be it. So I think, that's a very good point. I'm interested to see what changes come next but at the same time, we've been talking about these changes and I don't know why they haven't made them yet. So what I anticipate, and from Saleh's comments and from everybody kind of, shouting this from the rooftops, is that CJ Uzomah has his playing time limited and Jeremy Ruckert gets more. Now, this is something that we've been saying since week 2, week 3, week 1, maybe. I mean, it makes too much sense for it not to happen. I mean, Uzomah is, again, similar to Michael Carter, good locker room guy, obviously likes the camera, has kind of that personality that endears him to obviously his teammates and his fans. Yet, if you were to stack up him versus Ruckert's younger, he's faster, he's a better blocker, he clearly commits less penalties, and he's a better pass catcher. So why wouldn't you play Ruckert over him? So things like that, it doesn't make sense to me why it takes so long for Saleh and staff to make these changes when clearly they're the right choices. So I'm interested to see if that truly is the case, because I think that's something that could help this offense. And honestly, I'm really clearly the offense is limited because you got Hackett calling plays and you got Zach Wilson back there. I'm a big believer in just getting the best playmakers that you have out there. It seems like Hackett's been allergic to getting like Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall on the field at the same time. So, like, get your guys out there. Go to 2 tight end sets with Conklin and Rucker and let Garrett Wilson be the one wide receiver. Like, do some different things that kind of mix it up. So that way you can get some different looks and you can kind of show some, pizzazz on offense, because they really haven't shown it. They've been vanilla.
No.
I tweeted it out during the game. Like, is there anything more predictable right now than a first down incomplete pass followed by a Breece Hall run on second down? Like, no.
There isn't.
Anyone that's watched a second of the Jets games this season can see that coming. So, like, those are the little things that I really hope come and that we see on Sunday, because they need any kind of flair on offense, like anything.
They haven't even done like the trickery that LaFleur was doing. And like, you have
the one time they do. What is it? They have Garrett Wilson just busted up his elbow. It makes no sense.
It really doesn't. And it's frustrating because there's talented players on this team. I don't want to pick on Lazard, but I have to, because just this entire season, he's just been so frustrating, whether it's penalties, drop passes, not getting open, just doing stupid things. It's just, they're paying this guy a lot of money. And I know that Packer fans probably were not huge fans of him because of the drops. And it's the same thing is carried over with the Jets. Do I think if Rodgers was the quarterback, he'd be playing a lot better? Yes. I think everyone on this offense would be playing better. I think it'd be a lot different. And we're going to talk about what we think the record would be if Rodgers was the quarterback this year. But it's so frustrating because they have to make some changes, whether it's getting Bromley on the field. I know we're going to see Izzy. Hopefully we're going to see more Ruckert. I like that they're even considering Malik Taylor, even though it was a guy that we never really thought that they would actually put on the field. It seemed like he was more of a body than anything else, but he seems to be doing more than some of the other guys on the team. So I hope that we're just going to see something creative. We're going to see just different types of personnel that's out there this week. I mean, the Bills do not have a great defense, as we've seen, the entire season, except when they're playing Miami. It seems like they're, very vulnerable, especially against the run. So you need Breece Hall to have a similar type game that he had in week 1. And I think that's the thing you got to keep in mind when we're this matchup. And they're also a lot more banged up. No Matt Milano, no Trey White. Von Miller hasn't really been the same guy this year. I know he didn't play in the first matchup, but this is a defense that they should be able to move the ball against. I know that that's like a crazy thing to say at this point based on what we've seen from an offensive standpoint, but get in the damn end zone, man. It's like just something has to change. I don't care what it is, whether it's bringing different guys in, calling a different type of game plan. I don't care. Just stop with the same stuff over and over again. It's insanity. It's literally the definition of insanity.
Yes. And get Breece Hall on the field on third down.
Yes.
Like, he's your best, most reliable playmaker. Like, him and Garrett clearly are head and shoulders above any other person on the offense. But he is your best and most reliable playmaker, and you're taking him off the field on the down where you are historically bad.
Yeah.
Why are we it makes no sense. It, like you said, the definition of insanity. It's such a simple answer. Like, get him out there on third down and let him make a play. Set up a screen pass. Like, do anything that is contrary to what Hackett normally thinks of doing, and chances are you'll succeed.
It's just do the opposite. Be George Costanza. Do the opposite of what you normally would do.
Exactly.
And things might work out.
Exactly.
I do want to talk about this Garrett Wilson slander and Breece Hall slander that's been on Twitter. It makes no sense to me at all. Like, I understand that you could find things to nitpick with what they've done. I know Garrett obviously, he could have made a play on that long deep ball and he dropped the pass, but come on, like, get real. The two guys who actually give it their all every single week. And I know Breece hasn't been great lately, but come on with this stuff. Like, Garrett, every time, and I know Connor's been saying this all season, it's just like every time Zach throws him the ball, he has to make like a miraculous catch just to actually reel it in. So it's like, stop getting on the guy. He's not perfect. He's going to make some mistakes, but like, without him, where are we on offense? You're probably not getting first downs at all, like, let alone converting that third downs, which were the worst in the league, historically bad. And Breece is like, every time he touches the ball, something good happens. So it's like, yeah, they're not perfect, but what else are you going to do? The defenses know that they're going to get the ball, and what they're doing is they're going to put multiple guys on the stack the box, double team Garrett. So it's not going to be easy for them to make these miraculous plays again in the end zone. So like, I just don't understand this slander. And I know it's been coming a lot. It's like, get on Lazard more, get on Uzama, get on whoever. I can't take it anymore. It's just frustrating me.
crazy. And I think it's just indicative of the state of this offense. And it's like, the weight gets put on the shoulders of the people and the units that you rely on more because the offense is historically bad. So like, and I tweeted this out during the game too. Like I'm to the point where it's like, I'm beside myself upset if the offense gives up a touchdown or like gives up, or I'm sorry, if the defense gives up a touchdown or points, because I know how important that is. And I know that like, if the opposing team scores a touchdown, the game's practically over, right? So that's the same thing. It's like you're doing that to Garrett Wilson and to Breece Hall, because if they don't make that miraculous catch, if they don't make that miraculous touchdown run, then the offense is going to stall and there's not going to be anything. So it's almost like you're penalizing them for being too good and for being the only guys that are responsible or even have the ability to take this offense into the end zone. And listen, you can't look at what Garrett Wilson has done this season, and specifically really over the course of the last few games where this offense has been sputtering, and say he has been anything short of amazing. Like the third down catch where he got slammed in the ribs, bobbled it, and still made the catch. Like, how can you fault a guy for anything? Like, should he made that catch on the second and long over the middle? Yeah, probably. He got short arm, got scared of getting blown up, whatever. That happens to a million receivers. We can't fault this guy for minor mistakes when he's going 9 for 93 and giving it his all out there with Zach Wilson as his quarterback and being really, him and Breece Hall are 50-50 of the offense right now. Like that's what it is.
Yeah. And I know we talked about this either last week or the week before that, just about like how the Jets making mistakes because they are so crucial every play on offense to try to get points. Like Devontae Smith dropping that ball against the Jets. It's like every team does that. You can't get on these guys when they make one mistake. I get it. They're not scoring points, but like they're going to make mistakes, and you can't get on the guys who actually do things and accomplish things on this offense. So I think it's silly. And I know you were talking about the defense being perfect, giving them a touchdown. I want to give you a stat that I saw today. The Jets have given up one touchdown to a wide receiver this season. We are heading into week 12. One wide receiver scored a touchdown on them. The rest have been running backs or tight ends, or I guess
that's insane.
I know. So it's like, how can anyone get on this team for that? Like, it's ridiculous.
I'm trying to think of who it was.
I know it's week 1. It was Diggs.
Oh, Diggs scored. That's right.
Yeah.
That was questionable though, because I thought Josh Allen was ahead of the line of scrimmage on that one.
Oh, he absolutely was.
Right?
I remember I was in the stadium and I was like, he's definitely crossing that line.
That game, it's crazy, man. I'm usually like, that game was a blur. Just all the emotion of everything in that game. Like it's like my brain can't process it.
Let's talk about the hypothetical with Rodgers, and then we'll talk about Saleh, because I know there's been some mixed opinions on Saleh.
So I want to lay this out too, because I always say like I'm not a religious New York sports talk listener, but I do like to listen to the Michael K show and Barton Hahn. So I listen to Michael K on Mondays because they interview Saleh, and I listen to Barton Hahn on Tuesdays because they have Garrett Wilson, right? But they posed this question on the Michael K show about what this team's record would be if Aaron Rodgers were the quarterback. And everyone kind of agreed that it would be like 5-4 or 6-3. And I completely disagree with that. And I want to get your thoughts on it.
So 6-3 at the minimum.
Right?
I think. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, they definitely win the last 2 games. So that gets you to 6. Yeah, you get you to 6 right there.
Are you not winning the New England game?
Oh, yeah. So I think.
And are you not winning Kansas City?
Hard to say, because I don't know. I think they'd probably be 7-2. I really do.
7-2 or 8-1, without a doubt. Without a doubt in my mind.
I don't know about 8-1, but 7-2 or 6-3.
Are you? Yeah. I mean, my thing is like they should have won that Kansas City game anyways. Does Aaron Rodgers fumble that snap? Like, no. And I understand. I'm doing everything in a vacuum. Like I'm saying everything is the exact same, that the defense still plays with the same tenacity, knowing that they got Aaron Rodgers. I get that I'm saying that, but for everything we're talking about, there's no way this team is only 5-4, that Aaron Rodgers only makes a 1-game difference.
No, it's at least 2, if not 3.
Absolutely.
There's no, like, you won 4 games with Zach Wilson.
Yes.
4 games with Zach Wilson.
This team is 7-2.
They also would score touchdowns. They'd probably be averaging closer to 20 points a game instead of 13 that they're averaging right now, which is insane.
Agreed. So, okay. I just wanted to get that out of my system, because I was flabbergasted when I heard 5-4, potentially 6-3. That made me nuts.
I think that stems from people thinking that Rodgers maybe was a little washed last year, but
Rodgers left-handed could do more than this offense could do right now.
I'm not going to disagree. I want to shift focus to Saleh, because I think we're really at a crossroads with him as a head coach. I think every part of me wants the guy to succeed. He's a very likable person. Like, he says a lot of the right things. It seems like the players love him. Like, that's the one thing you could always say, whether they're, the penalties have been a problem, which is a coaching thing, but they play for him and they never quit. And that's a really important thing for a football team, because you see what the Raiders were like with Josh McDaniels. They were just like packing it in. They didn't care anymore. And then you get a guy like Antonio Pearson there, and now they've won 2 straight, and there's so much more energy in that locker room. So I'm really at a crossroads with this, because I think that there's definitely some issues with him, especially with in-game management, the penalties. I think he coaches a little bit scared. I mean, the whole race to 20 was really stupid, or whatever he said before the game. I didn't catch it because I was on a plane, and I just kind of fast forward just to get caught up instead of watching the pregame. But to me, I'm at a point where I need to see him coach with a little more guts. I think he just is coaching too scared. I want to see the penalties cleaned up. I want to see accountability from all players on the roster, no matter what your draft position was, no matter what position you play. And I'm starting to get concerned that he's probably not the guy. And I know that you and I were really confident when they started off 7-4 with all those wins that they had last year. But until I see more, I kind of feel like he's just the guy. And I think the one caveat is, what would he be like with a real quarterback? He's never had one. I mean, Mike White was the closest thing he's had to a real quarterback, or like a Wash Flacco. So that is like the one thing that keeps me from giving up all hope. But I'm really in a place where I know he's probably going to be back next year because Rodgers likes him, but anything could happen with this ownership group. But what do you think about him? Are you still bought in with him as being the solution for this team? Do you think that maybe he's just here another year and then that's it? Or are you at the point where maybe you would actually consider making a move if things really go off the rails?
I'm not at the point where I'm considering making a move. I think he should. I think he's going to be back next year, and I think he should be. My patience is growing thinner. I'm a big Saleh believer. I think the fact what he does with the locker room, I don't think can be sold short. I think he's doing a fantastic job of that, because I think a lot of teams, after what happened in the first game, could have absolutely like just thrown in the towel and been done. So I give him a ton of credit. There are things though where the race to 20 comment, like you just can't make that. Like if you're, and I made the point on the show earlier this week too, like if you're going to sit there and say, I believe in this offense, when this offense clicks, it's going to be something special.
Can't say that at this point.
Then you're also going to say that it's a race to 20 because our offense is so bad, but our defense is so good that if we just get the 20 points, like, no, your goal shouldn't just be 20 points. Your goal should be to score 35, 42, like put the ball in the end zone as many times as you can. So you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. The other thing that I have to, and we try our best to remain objective. And I always say, like, take the Jets goggles off, but you have to look back at last season too. Like this team got a second chance at life after Green Bay beat Miami, right? And how did they look in that Seattle game? Like they had a second chance and they came out as flat as you could possibly come out with everything on the line. And that to me, like, listen, you blame a lot on the quarterback situation. They tried to bandage Mike White up with his broken ribs and like trot him out there, but that game was not pretty. That was as flat as you could look in a game that meant everything. And I mean, that's on coaching. And that's the stuff that irks me, because I really like Saleh and I want him to succeed. And I think that with a real quarterback, he could. You can't sell short what he's done with this locker room. You can't sell short what he's done with this defense. But the reality of it is this guy's 15-28 as a coach, and his offense has been in the bottom of the league. Like his defense has made great strides, clearly. But it's 2023, and in a league that's built for offense, everything is tailor-made for offenses to succeed, and you can't put the ball in the end zone. Like there's got to be, at some point, there's got to be some accountability for that. And that's what it scares me, but that's what like wears me thin.
Yeah, and I understand he's a defensive coach, and that is not necessarily always the best way to hire a head coach. But listen, there's been plenty of defensive coaches who've won Super Bowls. Bill Belichick. I'm trying to think of others. Mike Tomlin.
Bill Parcells is a defensive coach.
Bill Parcells. Yeah. Also, what's his face? He's not a defensive coach, but John Harbaugh's won a Super Bowl. So the point is that you need to have some sort of say in the offense. And my concern is that he's either A, relying too much on Nate Hackett and not having his input basically with these game plans, or B, he's just he has no say in it at all. And I think that's always been the fault of a guy like Rex or a guy like Todd Bowles too. It's just like you need to be part of the offense. Like it's coaching the whole team. Same thing with special teams. And I know that, Ulbricht and obviously Brant Boyer are both really good at their jobs, and those units have been great this year. But you have to have the same standard across the board, and you can't like. I love what Sauce said after the game, basically saying, we just don't want to let anybody score. That's the mentality that we have. But like, it's great that you're like trying to set the bar that high, but it's just not sustainable. You're going to have injuries, which is going to make your defense maybe not perform as well. But also, there's guys are going to have a bad day. It's going to happen, and it's unfair to the rest of the locker room that the offense is just continuing to be so putrid and so inept, and nothing is changing, and that's on the coach. And look, I don't think that they're going to fire him, like I said before, but let's just say they get to 6 wins, so they win 2 more games. I would say you have to consider it. Like if Aaron Rodgers is okay with it,
6 and 11. Yeah.
I think you have to consider it.
Yeah.
And also, I know that they probably wouldn't at this point because Joe Douglas has done some good things, but it's all or nothing for me. You can't keep one and not the other. I would be stunned. Like, why should Joe Douglas get a shot at a third coach? That means he whiffed on. He didn't hire Adam Gase, but he came in with Adam Gase and had him for 2 years, whatever. And he had Saleh. It would be for 3 years. He whiffed on a quarterback. He's whiffed on a bunch of draft picks. I mean, think about it. Michael Carter's another guy in the 2021 class who's not here anymore. So like that's a little concerning for me. So my point is like, if you're going to make changes, it should be completely top to bottom from, a staff standpoint and also a front office standpoint, because there has to be accountability. And Joe Douglas has tied Robert Saleh's hand with the quarterback. And I'm not saying that Saleh's handle everything well, but it's like they both should get a lot of blame, and Zach Wilson should get a lot of blame. And I know every time you criticize Zach Wilson, you get crushed. I can't take it anymore. I just want them to win some games. I mean, I'm not expecting them to, get to the playoffs and win a round. I think that'd probably be unreasonable at this point with how inept they are on offense. Just get there, man. Just let me enjoy an extra week of football that I haven't had since 2011. 2011. What world are we living in?
I know. At this point, I just want a game that isn't a dogfight. Like, just get me a comfortable win. Get me multiple touchdowns. Get me 1 touchdown a half. Like, the bar that we've set is literally so low for this team. It's insane. For every Jets fan, we all agree. Like, that's all we want to see. Like, Robert Saleh, and I really do. Like, I love him as a coach. I love him as a guy. But all he had to do was not be Adam Gase, and he immediately got immense credit in Jets fans' world and eyes, because that's all he had to do was clear that. And now, like with the offense, like all we're asking, score 17 a game, score 20. That's it. Like other teams just stumble into points, and we can't even do it. I don't know, man. It's frustrating. But at the end of the day, like you just have to peel it back. And Joe Douglas, what is his? I mean, I think Joe said it today. Is it 21-74? Is that accurate as a GM?
No, it's not that high. I'm going to tell you what it is.
It's not that high.
I'm going to tell you. Hold on, I'm Googling.
He had 7, 7, 2, and 4.
20? No, he doesn't have 70 losses. I think he's like 21 and like 50 something.
Sorry, yeah, it's not 75. Yeah, that's right. 21-54. He's at 75 games total.
Yes,
is that what it is? 21 and 54, and 15 and 28.
It's unbelievable.
Like, at what point do they make the change? And that's something that I don't think it's going to happen. I think no one could predict that Aaron Rodgers is going to get hurt on the 4th snap of the game. I think they deserve another shot with Aaron. But at the same time, I just think what this season is proving is that their plan, first of all, their backup plan for Aaron was an awful one, but that their plan even with Aaron was subpar, right? Like, he shouldn't be the cure-all. He shouldn't be the cure-all. They needed to get more when Corey Davis retired. They should have gotten more, even in addition to Allen Lazard, right? Yeah. And they should have gotten more help on the offensive line and more better help and depth on the offensive line. But we've gone on for far too long, so we can continue.
By the way, it's 24-51. I just want to correct ourselves.
So not 21-54, 24-51. Either way,
still gross.
Not
it's
acceptable.
Disgusting.
Not acceptable.
Under 30% winning percentage. It's gross.
Yeah, oh god, no, it's so sad.
No other franchise would allow that ever. Never. They wouldn't.
That's why we think of like, and now with every passing year, the golden years of my fandom just get further and further away. I was spoiled from a 12-year-old kid to the time I was 25, 26. I was spoiled. And from 26 to 38 has been dog shit.
It's so funny. And I know Casey Halpern for Profit Exchange mentioned this to Joe on a show they did. I think they did it last week. He's like, you know, the meme, it's like, our expectations were low, but holy fuck. Like, it's just that's the Jets on offense in a nutshell.
That's it, man. That's all it is.
It's just it makes you want to scratch your head. So we do have a game that's coming up on Sunday against the Bills. Second matchup. The Jets have beaten them, so there is reason to believe that they can win. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think the Jets are going to actually shock us and do something on offense? Do you think they're going to win? Because I'm not confident until I see it. So what's your prediction for the game on Sunday?
You know, we've been going for 30 minutes and I've spent 29 and a half just completely like going off on this team. But I don't know. I feel like as bad as the Jets are right now, I feel like the Bills are almost in a worse way. And I feel like the firing of Ken Dorsey was a desperation move. And I'm not sure how much impact it's going to have. Like he's going to call the plays, but it's still going to be calling the plays in a Ken Dorsey offense. Josh Allen has not looked good. That defense, I don't think is great at all. I don't know if they're even good right now. And the absence of Matt Milano, who is always due for a Zach Wilson pick and or breaking Mike White in half, I think is a huge thing for us. I mean, Trey White being out, call me crazy, man, but I just have this funny feeling that the Jets are going to surprise us and find a way to pull it off. I think I have no reason to believe that the offense can really put the ball in the end zone, but I have a feeling that they're going to find a way because this is a dogfight. I mean, both of these teams are fighting for their lives right now because really, in all seriousness, the loser of this game is probably out, right? We're clinging on to whatever sliver of hope that we have at making the playoffs right now. And the Bills are as well at 5-5 with the schedule they have left. Like they need this game bad. I just have a feeling that we're gonna win in a dogfight. I think the Jets win 17-14. It's crazy and I'm nuts, but you know, and the funny thing is like I picked the Jets to lose last week 17-13, and I get so pissed off, even though I knew I was gonna be like right. I was a point off each way, right? But I don't know, something about this week and what's going on. I just have a feeling that they figure it out just enough on offense to make the difference. I feel like they just have Josh Allen's number, and I feel like this defense just kind of gives Josh Allen fits, and they're going to surprise us and pull it out, and maybe make some noise in December.
You're saying all the things I want to hear. I'm going to go against the grain though, because I can't until I see it. I'm not going to believe it. I'm picking against them. I hate doing it, but I just don't think they're going to win. Zach Wilson is so bad, and you know the play calling has not been great either. I just can't see it. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I'll do anything to be wrong. I'll be so happy and late on a Sunday night just celebrating this going into Thanksgiving week. But I'm going to say like 21-13 or 21-10. 21-10. They'll get one touchdown for us to make us happy.
Probably a defensive one. The one thing, listen, I think I've continued to say, like the offensive, when you put a blame pie chart out, I think Hackett deserves a big chunk. I think Zach deserves the biggest chunk. And I think penalties deserve the third one, right?
Mm-hmm.
On Sunday night, though, I don't think Zach was the biggest issue. I think he made some good plays. He missed some throws. The issue is that in the most crucial moment with a chance to come back when they're entering the red zone, he made the one mistake that you can't make, and he threw it where he shouldn't have and got picked. Now it was a hell of a play by Spillane, but he still shouldn't have thrown it. The other thing that I would say is that the kid, for whatever reason, like I don't know if he's being coached, I don't know if he's scared of getting hurt. He seems way too hesitant to use his legs when that's like the best thing that he's got for himself. And it's like even when the hole's wide open in front of him, he still continues to look to dish it. Dude, just take off. And he used his legs. I think he had 50 plus yards on Sunday night, and it was to our advantage. And if he stays in by a millimeter, that's a touchdown, and the Jets win that game. No question. So continue to use your legs. It's like it's literally his best asset, right? Like just continue to do it and do it more. Get him on rollouts. Get him on design runs. Maybe some of those 3rd and 1s, you roll him out to the pocket on the right, or you roll him out of the pocket on the right. And if he doesn't see it, he takes off and he gets it. Like, those are the little things that I can't for the life of me. I know I don't know football like these coaches, but I just can't understand for the life of me why they don't do it more. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know either. And I wish I knew the answer, because I do agree with you. He should be taking off more, and there should be design runs for him. I know that he could probably get hurt. That might be the case with it. I remember that was the whole reason why Adam Gase would never let Sam Darnold sneak, because he didn't want quarterbacks to get hurt. But it works, and it's a good way to get first downs. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, look, it
at
works
this point, you're playing with house money. Like, as important as Zach Wilson is, okay, but you're 4-5. It's desperation time. You got to leave it all out.
You got to get all the tricks out of. You got all the tricks out of the bag. You have to be in your bag this week.
Yeah. Nate Hackett should be studying everything that Mike LaFleur did in the past 2 seasons and entering everything that he can into his playbook. Every possible thing.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts as we head into Buffalo week?
I'm trying to change the juju and keep it positive. I don't know. I have no reason to have faith, but something about, call it a gut feeling. Here's the thing I'll say. I felt weird about the Chargers game. Like, leading into it, I was like, they should win this game. But just before it, I'm like, something's wrong. It just doesn't feel right. They're going to let me down. Coming into that Raiders game, and at the start of it, I'm like, all right, they're playing pretty well. Like, if they can get a touchdown, this game's over. And as soon as that one red zone try failed, I'm like, they're going to let this team hang around. Somehow Oakland, somehow Vegas is going to score, and they're going to win. Call it a feeling, though. I don't know. I just feel like they're going to be spunky against Buffalo, and I feel like Buffalo's in a little bit of a, I don't know, something's stirring out there. It's not good.
It's not, and I know you live in that part of Central New York, but I'm going to say Jordan Whitehead gets another interception. He got 3 against Josh Allen, and he actually had 1 against him last year. So let's get another one.
Let's get another one. Yeah, I like it. That's the key. If Josh Allen turns the ball over, then I think the Jets can win this game. If they can turn the Bills over and protect the ball, that's going to be the key. That they have to do that. If this defense, they have Josh Allen's number. They do. They can confuse him. They bait him into trying to force stuff. And when he does that, he gets into trouble. If that can hold, we'll see.
Just got to have a little bit of hope. I don't have it, but I appreciate that you do.
Trying, man. The beacon of positivity. I'm letting Will Parkinson and Dalvin Osorio inspire me. I'm trying to get back to my normal, optimistic, glass half full self.
Oh, so for those who don't know, because they're not in our TOJ Slack, the OG chat before the Discord was formed, Will, but mainly Dalvin, always call me out for being negative. They call me out for being negative. They call Meeks for being negative all the time. And
I will say, Meigs takes the cake from you. Like, I give you shit, but you're pretty good. Meigs is like, whoa.
Oh, he's ready to move on from this entire regime. He's just like, it didn't work. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. Turn into Jets Live, just search it. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel for our content, for snippets of Badlands and anything else that they're cooking up on that feed. www.youtube.com/@BadlandsTOJ. Also, make sure to subscribe to Will's feed, Turn on the Jets podcast, not to be confused with Turn on the Jets Live. And last but certainly not least, make sure to check out Badlands Patreon. It's the best premium Jets content every single day. There's new stuff, whether it's written, video, audio. It's amazing. And don't forget to check out the tailgate for the Falcons game in the first week of December. Chitty's Cheesesteaks will be there. Profit Exchange will be there. Should be a good time. I'm TBD about going. I know, Russo, you're trying to go to the Black Friday game. I don't know if you're still doing it. I wouldn't waste it. Don't waste your time.
I wouldn't either.
Don't waste your time.
If they pull off the next 2, maybe you'll see me at the tailgate. I don't know.
All right. But anyway, thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you guys next week.